If you're a Beatles fan, you're going to love this project. It's a decoration in the shape of a plectrum, a guitar pick, and it says the Beatles, and there's the four lads walking across Abbey Road. The pattern is made, the piece is made from 1/4 inch stock. I'm going to make some in cherry and some in oak, and the way you make it will be to cut the letters and the four lads out of 1/4 inch piece of stock, and then after that's done, glue that to another piece of stock and then cut the outer rim. That way you don't have to worry about the pieces matching exactly, because they were cut together. So let's get to work on the Beatles guitar pick. My favorite method of attaching patterns to wood is with scroll saw tape. I have a video that shows 9 different methods to transfer pattern from paper to the wood, and this is number 8 of 9. So if you're curious about what other methods there may be, check out that video. The scroll saw tape, all you have to just do is unroll it, flip the piece over, trim it off with a knife, with a hobby knife, and flip it back over. Get a corner of the knife under get the knife under a corner of the paper. Peel off the backing. Like that. Now you have a piece of wood with a sticky surface. Place the pattern on top and push it down, and that's all there is to putting the pattern in place. Next step obviously will be to, because of all those inside cuts, the next step is going to be to go to the drill press. I've got a 1/16 drill bit in the drill press for this. You can use a hand drill if you don't have a drill press. Now, the letters THE are pretty small, and you want to keep the bit within the confines of the letters, so that's why I'm using such a small bit. Now, those 3 letters, you're going to have to be really careful about where you place the pilot hole. But once that's done, the others are pretty easy. The letter ES for Beatles those 2 letters are joined, and when we get to cutting, I'll show you why you have to be really careful cutting out those 2 letters, because there's not a lot of material left, and if you goof there, you can ruin the whole pattern with one little slip. Alright, one more pilot hole. There we go, the pilot holes are all in place. I'll do the same on I'm making 3 of these in cherry, and I'm making, I think is 3 in oak as well. But I'll drill the rest of the pilot holes before we move on to the next step, which is obviously the scroll saw. The scroll saw is my favorite tool. I can easily spend all day on it, and sometimes I do. Alright, this is a number 5 Olson Mach Speed blade. I'll put I'll mention them in the description. I believe I bought these from Cherry Tree Toys, although you can probably get these in a local, any place that sells scroll saw blades, like a big box store. this is the tricky part right here, doing these letters because they're small. I probably should have gotten by with a number 3 blade. But this is working. So thread the blade through the pilot hole, tighten it up, and you're ready to go. In fact, I'm going to slow this down. So number 5 is a little bigger than I need. And if the blade is too big and you got the speed all the way up, it can be a little bit on the aggressive side, and if you're not careful, you can overshoot where you want to cut. So, this will work. This is a great little decorative item. Make a good gift for a musician or just for a Beatles fan. You can make it in pretty much any wood you would like. As long as you can get access or make the resawing process, 1/4 inch stock. I prepared a couple pieces of 1/4 inch stock from 4/4 cherry. And I didn't show the process because it takes a while, and I have a complete video on resawing. So if you would like to learn that process, oh, I missed one place. Yeah, I'll come back to that in a minute. I left the drill bit in the drill press. So if you're interested in resawing, check out that video. Because of the nature of what I make in my shop, I make a lot of toys. I make a lot of home decor items like this that use thinner wood. I am constantly resawing. So I will show you the one other tricky part of this. That's going to be the ES here. There's a very small amount of material between the E and the S. In fact, at the bottom they're connected. So you want to make sure you stay inside the line on this part of the pattern. Particularly that one little section. Here's another one of the places where it gets real close to the E and the S. So it's careful to stay on the inside, and you want to even hold the waste material maybe as you're doing that. You can see just how little material is left between the E and the S. I'm going to go ahead and drill that missing pilot hole in the B, and then I'll finish this off. Those are all the letters, and now I cut out the 4 lads. A few of the parts on this get a little bit small, like the shoes, and sometimes I will cut near them, but I won't cut them all the way out, and I'll go back and finish the cut later, and that's what I'm doing now. Some really sharp turns there. Now it's easy to go back in and instead of make a sharp turn, cut the shoe by going two different directions. And this one it's easier to go in from that direction than it would have been the other way. You'll learn with experience what cuts you can make and which one and what will be an easier way of doing it. There we go. I'm going to tighten the blade up. I've got some other things I'm going to make. Won't have any inside cuts. There we go. That's the inside cuts for the Beatles guitar pick shaped decoration. The next step will be to do just a little bit of sanding and then glue the back around. So the interior cuts are made, and need to do a little bit of sanding the back of that. I don't know how well it shows up here, but if you have an experienced scroll sawing, you know that you get these little fuzzies on the outcut, on the outside, the back side of whatever you cut on the scroll saw. I have a backward go on there, needs some glue obviously, and I buy my glue by the gallon. Put the two pieces together. There you go. That's a handful of clamps. I've got a number 7 scroll saw blade in here from another project I was working on last night, and I could get by with a 5. Well, it's kind of right on the border between a 5 and a 7, so since there's already a 7 in there, I'm going to use that. It's a number 7 Pegasus modified geometry blade. I'll give the information in the description. So this is pretty easy. There's just the one long outside cut. It's so much easier to glue the back into this before you make the cut. That way you've got, if you don't do it that way, if you cut them separately, then you're not, the top and bottom may not match up. And it's always tricky to, when you're doing a glue up, to keep things from moving even a little bit. This way you don't have to worry about that. And it's not a big deal because something that can stick anyway. That's the cherry. You can see from the back. Now I'll just take it over to the workbench, do a little bit of sanding. The edges are always a little bit rough, and then we'll take it to the finishing room. Easiest way I think to finish these, because of all those cuts there, the letters and the figures, is with a spray finish. I'm using a Minwax polyurethane. It's a warm satin light coat. I have a Lazy Susan there, so it makes it easy to get all sides of an item. That's it for the first coat. I'll let that sit, and it's pretty fast drying. I may or may not have time to do another coat tonight because it's getting late. That's the completed Beatles guitar pick shape decoration in cherry. It's finished with spray polyurethane, and you saw the entire process. It's not a difficult project, but I wouldn't rate it easy either. I think I would have to rate it as intermediate, and the reason for that being that you have to make all these interior cuts. The letters T, H, E are pretty small. The E and S, there's only this little bitty piece holding that together, so you have to be real careful there. The letter A here, it looks like even a little bit that broke off. It's tricky. It's very, I don't know what. It takes some pretty good control. So I would not call it an easy project or a beginner project. I would consider it an intermediate project. But it's a nice decoration. I've thought for some time one of these days I want to take this pattern and enlarge it to a little bit larger size to see what it looks like. It would obviously be easier to cut because everything would be larger. Haven't done it yet, but maybe I'll do it one of these days. Anyway, that's the Beatles guitar pick project. I hope you liked it. Give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.